Welcome to Central New York and Turning Stone Casino for the culmination of the 2014 Boxino Tournament. What began 91 days ago ends tonight with the finals in the middleweight and lightweight divisions. 8 started in each class, but in the end, only one fighter will remain.
His hands are wrapped firm in gauze. Strips of adhesive tape are applied between the fingers and across the wrist. He stretches his limbs, and now he starts to warm up his body. He has imagined this moment since he was a kid. Played it out in his head 1,000 times. His body is the soldier, but his mind is the general. And that is where this battle will be won. Now his fist cut through the air at an imagined opponent in a small locker room. 10-ounce blood-red gloves are put on each hand and tied tightly. He bangs them together, reminds himself to be the boss. A cold layer of thick Vaseline is spread over the eyebrows, the bridge of the nose. One of his handlers helps as they put on a rope. It's time. He's ready to go. He is a fighter, and tonight, he fights for a title.
Here it is, Boxino Championship Final Four.
And a good right hand. He's coming forward. He's the one. Oh, big right hand. Tinker's legs did a little shot, not on his own. A little help from that right hand.
And that right hand puts an exclamation point. Brandon the Cannon. Whoa. There goes the mouthpiece. Oh, the mouthpiece comes flying out again after an uppercut.
There's a good left hand from the southpaw again. He's using Kovalenko's aggression against him.
And a power shot lands.
Monroe has something else in mind, like legs and left hands.
But there's a right hand from Kokomo and a left. Oh, with a big left hand. Miguel Gonzalez. It looked like Gonzalez's soul temporarily left his body for about 3 seconds. Couple big body shots and then upstairs for Petrov.
Rudd now starting to shrink. Started over 6 foot. Now he's about 5'6".
Oh, and the right hand connects. Rudd stayed on his feet somehow. And now Rudd fighting back. Everything he's got.
Petrov looking to short and straight. They're going to do that. They're going to get in. And he's going to make the referee do that.
Peter Petrov is headed to the Boxino Championship. We welcome you into Friday Night Fights, brought to you as always by Corona Extra. We are live inside the Turning Stone Resort and Casino. My name is Todd Grisham, and as you know, success is a journey, not a destination. And while all 4 of tonight's Boxino finalists hope to one day be world champions, winning the Boxino tournament final here tonight would by far be the crowning achievement on each of their respective resumes. Like middleweight finalist Brandon Adams told me, tonight is the biggest night of my life. 3 fights in 3 months, and it all comes down to this. Let's take a look at our brackets. The middleweight final, which will be up first tonight, Willie Monroe Jr. taking on Brandon Adams. And then in our nightcap, the lightweight final. Expect fireworks between Peter Petrov and Fernando Carcamo. Each one of these 2 finals scheduled for 10 rounds. If for some reason it's tied after 10 rounds, we go to a sudden death draw breaker round. Without further ado, let's send it ringside to the men who'll be calling the action, Teddy Atlas and Joe Tessitore.
Thank you, Todd and Teddy. I look at those brackets. Isn't it nice to see guys that you can now say are familiar names, familiar faces for so many of our fans on a quicker turnaround, taking on bigger and better challenges, much like the way the sport used to be with televised boxing. You can say that a lot of good has come from a tournament that started with a mixed bag, an eclectic group of fighters thrown together. What do you feel like we've gotten out of Boxino?
You know, Joe, for me, this tournament can be summed up in one way. In a line from a movie, The Bronx Tale, a line from Sonny, there's nothing worse than wasted talent. And this tournament ensured that this talent here was not lost. And oh, make no mistake about it, it would have been lost. A guy like Monroe, good boxer, decent boxer, didn't throw enough punches. guy that didn't have that confidence. He had lost to a 17-17 fighter, but he comes in this tournament and he grows and he gets confidence. Now he's a boxer with all the talent and he throws punches and he can make some noise. And then you have another fighter like Kokomo, pure power, a fighter from Mexico, a guy that, well, he had lost 5 fights, but he's only 23 years old. And he's a guy that could really bang. And now he's found himself. He's got confidence. And he's going to bang and bang and bang. And then you have a guy like Petrov, a Russian fighter, who got left on the trash heap against Madonna, who he was knocked out with. He was run over by. But he's a good fighter. He's a solid fighter. And now he's finding himself. And you're finding him. And he's making noise. And finally, the baby of the bunch, Adams. Only 6 amateur fights. But a kid with nothing but upside. A kid with physicality. A kid with confidence. A kid who every day, every minute, every second, right in front of you tonight is going to continue growing, and he's going to be heard of. Yes, if it wasn't for this tournament, there would have been lost talent. But now, you're going to be able to hear about these guys tonight and beyond tonight. They're going to make a little bit of noise and have that opportunity because of this tournament.
Seen Adams grow up right in front of us here in Boxino. Seen Monroe take advantage of a chance at redemption, career redemption. He's getting ready to try to take this middleweight title of Boxino, and he's standing by with Bernardo Osuna.
In the locker room with Willie Monroe, who became friendly with his opponent Brandon Adams as this Boxino tournament progressed. How do you flip the switch once that bell rings?
This is the hurt business. It's boxing, so I mean, for 40 minutes he'll have to be, you know, my enemy. But hopefully, after the 40 minutes is over, or however long the fight lasts, we'll be friends again.
What specifically do you have to do tonight to beat Brandon Adams?
Be El Mongoose, be Willie Monroe, be myself. That was our whole motto throughout training camp. Do what you want, be you. So just be myself.
And you'll get a chance to do it in front of a hometown crowd, just a couple of hours away from his native New York home.
That's right, Bernie. He grew up in Rochester, New York. Easy drive from here to Verona. As for his opponent, Brandon Adams from L.A., the rap on him was, yes, unbeaten, but inexperienced. Yet he has blossomed in Boxino.
When the tournament was introduced to me, I was excited. Man, I was more so nervous of fighting on TV for the first time, really, for America. You know, more so than my opponents. I was excited, man. My first fight with Daniel Edouard, when we got in the ring, it was a fill-out process. You know, I always expected a lot from him, Daniel Edouard. Him being the most seasoned fighter, I was expecting for him to try something cagey, to be deceptive, you know, and I also expected for him to be a lot better until, you know, I applied pressure and I started hitting him with bigger punches. Then the fight went my way. And my second fight with Raymond Gatica, you know, he pretty much did what I expected. And once he felt my strength, you know, he had to regroup and set up and definitely figure me out then, because, you know, I think he thought he knew Brandon Adams. This right here, this will be the finishing touch, you know what I mean? So you better believe I definitely want to look good. It'll be like the end of the sentence. To show that it was the end of the sentence, it'll be a period. For me, I mean, like, you know, that's the most important part of the sentence, to make it a sentence, is the period. That's how I feel about this tournament.
14-0 Brandon Adams, moments away from the middleweight finale in Boxino. Nigel Collins is here ringside with us tonight. Longtime boxing writer, analyst, historian, and our social media moderator. You can join in the conversation tonight at ESPN FNF. Nigel, what's been the buzz on social media about Boxino?
Well, the fans have been amped up about the entire tournament, but the fight they're really looking forward to is the Kamkaro and the Petrov fight, because they know both guys come to fight, they like to mix it up, and there's a potential for a real war.
Yeah, action fight it could be. That's our lightweight championship Boxino, which will be our main event coming up, second fight on TV tonight. You've been doing polling for the last couple weeks on Twitter. What are the results?
Well, they're very close, which is appropriate in a tournament like this. But Petrov got a little bit of an edge, 59 to 57%. And Monroe got a little 59% edge over Adams.
Best tweets will make air tonight at ESPN FNF. Nigel will have the conversation going all night long, so get active on Twitter here for Boxino. Brandon Adams, Willie Monroe. When we come back, it's been 3 fights since late winter. The last will crown the Boxino King. The middleweight finals, they go for it next.
There's nothing like having a trustworthy companion.
They have found their way to the finals. The middleweights, it started just outside Chicago when Brandon Adams' power was on display. And then the semifinals took them back here in Verona, New York with the slick southpaw Willie Monroe leading the way. The middleweight final sets up this way. Brandon Adams, the LA-based young pro, gaining experience and confidence, and Willie Monroe, great uncle Willie the Worm Monroe, the 70s middleweight who handed Hagler his second pro loss. And Adams has been gaining that experience. The 24-year-old gives up an inch of height to Monroe. It is time to see what the fighters need to do to look like a champ. Brought to you by Just for Men. Teddy.
Well, let's start with the boxer, Mr. Monroe. In and out all night. Don't stand in front. Use those legs to set up your offense, get angles, keep your man off balance, and look for that southpaw left hand. The pot shot every once in a while when you get those angles. You get that position. Keep him off balance. And for Adams, well, use your jab to his chest to control him, and then find the body. You don't want to reach, so I suggest you go to the jab. He's going to be a tough target. He's going to step out. Step in with your jab to the chest. Stabilize him a little bit. Keep him in front of you. And then look to put some water in the basement with that right hand downstairs. No better way than take the legs away from a guy like Monroe who likes to move than to go downstairs. Take a little air out of those tires.
It is the Boxino middleweight finals, and sweet baby Ray Flores has the official introductions.
First fighting out of the blue corner, he comes in wearing red, white, and blue. His official weight, 159 1/2 pounds. His record includes 17 wins against a single defeat, half a dozen victories coming by way of knockout. From Rochester, New York, he is ranked number 14 by the WBA. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Willie El Mongoose Monroe Jr. And his adversary fighting to my right out of the red corner. He comes in wearing black and silver. His official weight, 158 pounds. He enters the ring undefeated, 14 wins with 9 of those coming by way of knockout. Hailing from Watts, California, he is ranked number 6 by the WBA. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undefeated Brandon the Cannon Adams. Our referee in charge here to give instructions, Mark Nelson.
Gentlemen, you received your instructions earlier, so you know exactly what I expect. Please give me a good, clean fight and protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands and the bell. Touch them up. Good luck. Good luck, Coach.
Brandon Adams, who describes himself as the chubby kid from LA who turned into a pro athlete. Boxing, the only sport he ever took part in, and now at 24 years old, 14-0 as a pro, could be a night to remember.
You know, Joe, the Klitschko's, everyone knows who they are, the guys that dominate the heavyweight division. Now there's one left. But the Klitschko's are difficult to deal with because of their physical talent, but also because of their styles. They're defensive-minded and use their jabs to control the outside. Well, Monroe's style is also difficult to deal with. It's defensive-minded, and he uses his jab to control the outside, too. Only, he also uses his legs, and he's a lefty. He's a southpaw. So, for all those people out there, the pundits out there, the old boxing guys that say styles make fights, yeah, that's the greatest opponent, enemy of Adams tonight. It's the style of Monroe, the defensive style. You come in 3 inches, he goes back 6. He's going to have to figure out a key to unlock the door to get close if he's going to beat Monroe.
Used that style beautifully throughout. Boxino had the unanimous decision win against Donatas Bandas. Had a mild upset against Vitaly Kopalenko. Was unbeaten as he entered Boxino, and now we'll see if that style can lead the way here against Adams.
Only 6 amateur fights, Adams. Still a bit green, but he's growing with each fight, as I said in the opening in this tournament. Plenty of upside for Adams. But in all fairness, let me say something about Monroe. He has also grown or improved with this tournament. You can see a big gain from his first fight in this tournament to his second. He was much more confident of himself and what he needed to do. I mean, his first fight, I don't think he threw enough punches. He won the fight maybe because of his defensive skills. But now he's starting to match, making a guy miss, making a guy pay a little bit. A little in and a little bit out.
Showing that off early here in round 1 as Adams tried to place that right hand to the body. Now a double jab from Monroe.
I like Adams. You know, as I said, he has a difficult task because of Monroe's style, but I have a feeling he has instinct. He's got a good physical body and some strength, and athleticism, but I have a feeling he also has instinct. And he's going to find a way, and that's what he needs to do, to unlock that door I talked about, to allow him to get close enough to Monroe where he has a chance to win. And that's the key, literally. Find the key to get inside. Adams is not winning on the outside here.
You can join Teddy in scoring along here in these Boxino finals by going to the ESPN Friday Night Fight Facebook page and judge this round. That's open throughout the night. You can jump in at any point. We'll put up the results of the Facebook viewer scoring alongside Teddy's scoring throughout the night as the men in the golden gloves come to the end of round 1, Boxino middleweight finals. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you ringside here at Turnstone in central New York, Corona, New York. Willie Monroe, Brandon Adams, round 2 of this middleweight finals of the Boxino tournament. Good example of what we described earlier with Monroe, taking those little steps back to stay out of the range.
Wait, don't punch. I got it.
And just a moment ago, you saw a little tweaking of Adams. You know, he got his attention, Monroe, with the left-handed power punch. For him, for the southpaw, it's the backhand, the hand that he could turn into. Put his back through it a little bit. Pivot his left foot with it. That's what he's looking to do. He's looking to set the table with the right hand. Set him up, mesmerize him a little bit, keep him at a certain distance at the end of his punches, and then, well, when it's time to eat, time to manja, Monroe looks to throw that straight left hand. Again, Adams, you don't need Teddy Atlas to tell you, Adams is not winning on the outside. Now, there's different ways to get in. The conventional way is, you know, you want to close a gap, you better understand, one jam ain't doing it. You need 2 or 3 jabs to close that gap. You need your feet to move with you, take the step. And you need to move your head to get inside. The jab thrown by Monroe.
Hands free, guys.
The time Adams gets to the inside, let's see if he's productive there at all. Monroe double jabbed and then turned over a right hook when he was on the inside. Reminder, the lightweight final, Petrov and Karkamo, is coming your way. That's a fight that many anticipate to be action-packed.
I mentioned the one way, the conventional way, the obvious way to fight a guy that wants to stay on the outside. You work your way in. Get aggressive behind that double jab. The other way is you step out a little bit. I think Adams has the instinct to do that. Step out a little bit every once in a while, and you see if you can entice the taller man, the man who likes to fight on the outside like Monroe, to maybe come forward, be aggressive, and then look to time him. Those little spots when he is aggressive, that's where Adams really has to pull the trigger. He's not going to get him that often, and catch Monroe coming.
Landed that short left hand on the inside, but Monroe, once again, doubling up that jab. He's shown accuracy here in round number 2.
Adams has control of himself. He's losing this fight right now, but one thing he's not doing, kid with only 6 amateur fights, only 24 years old, Monroe's 27. Adams is inching his way in. He's showing patience, showing more control than you would think from a guy with 6 amateur fights. There's something to this guy.
Finding a little bit of success here in the final half minute of round number 2 of Boxino.
Time. Good job.
Interesting second round there as Willie Monroe, for basically the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, was controlling the action with his jab, was accurate with it, was doubling it up, and then Adams came on in the last 30 seconds of that second round. There is Brandon Adams, the 14-0, 24-year-old who has blossomed during this Boxino tournament here on Friday Night Fights. Round number 3.
The pressure, the burden. I mean, there's pressure, there's burden on anybody who gets in that ring, but to fight a certain kind of fight, I'll just say right out, to take chances, to gamble a little bit. We're in a casino. That burden is on Adams. I mean, Monroe, he doesn't want to take chances. His game is not to roll the dice. Stay on the outside, take what's given him, play it defensive-minded. But Adams, if it continues his way, he's going to be forced to take those dice in his hands and see if he can. Let's see if he can roll some numbers. If he's not winning, as I said earlier, on the outside, he might get pot-shotted out there, but he's not winning out there. And again, he's got to find a way to get in without leaving himself wide open. See, that's the burden on Adams.
Stop.
You want to get in without doing that, without getting sloppy, without being all over the place, without being exposed to Monroe, who's looking to expose you. Most of the fights for Monroe have
hands-free,
been
guys.
in this
Get your hands free.
state of New York.
Break.
He's comfortable here.
I got you.
And most of the fights for Adams on the West Coast.
Peter Petrov, the Russian-born veteran, fought for a junior welterweight world title and now will fight in the finals of Boxino's lightweight main event coming up here on Friday Night Fights.
I'm glad Petrov is practicing moving his head. He better move his head against Kokomo. Otherwise, Kokomo, with that power, he'll move it for him.
A double jab again from Monroe.
You know, you just said the key word there. Jab from Monroe. Everyone knows Monroe. His thing is to use a jab. I've talked about it. Stay on the outside. Be the man out there. That's where he lives. But a lot of people forget that the guy who's shorter, the guy who has to come forward, the guy who has the responsibility of getting in with a guy like that, he's got to use his jab too. A lot of people say, oh, he's going to have to land a power punch. But he's not landing a power punch if he doesn't use the jab to get close enough. So in some ways, the jab just as important, if not more important, to the guy that you don't think about being connected to winning with a jab. That's Adams. He's got to start using that jab just to blur the vision of Monroe a little bit. Keep him defensive and close the gap and do that. Get close enough to land some of those power shots.
We saw the CompuBox numbers that they have tallied halfway through the third round. You had nearly 4 times as many jabs thrown in that. And Adams wants to be right there in the pocket. And Monroe tries to exchange with him. And Adams squares up and swings away into the corner. They go. Good action to close this out. Joe and Teddy ringside for Boxino. You can join in the conversation on Twitter at ESPN FNF. Nigel Collins, our social media moderator, is with us ringside tonight. Brandon Adams was able to get to the inside, square up and swing away. There's a sharp lead left hand from Willie Monroe, but Adams had that success at the end of round number 3. Moving on the outside. And there's a right hand to the body from Adams.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, that setup, that video setup with the fight plan for Adams. You know, use the jab to stabilize Monroe, inch your way closer, and then go downstairs. Take some air out of those tires.
Teddy's scorecard looks this way as Willie Monroe controlled things in the first 2 rounds with his jab. Third round was much closer, as we discussed for a moment, but perhaps Adams in that final half minute taking advantage, and that's exactly the way the fans at home see it as well. 2 rounds to 1. Of course, you can score along. at any moment, jump in and score on the Friday Night Fight Facebook page, and we'll show those results throughout the evening alongside Teddy's scorecard.
I like the way Adams is going. He's warming up a little bit. I mean, he's getting into this fight. More importantly, he's getting into the dimensions, the geography of the fight that he needs to be. In other words, he's in close. That gives him a chance to win.
Short little left uppercut on the inside. Tried to get around that right flank and land that left to the body of Monroe.
You know what he's been doing well, Adams? Joe, we know, and I've made it very clear, he has to get close to win. But he also has to make sure he's not dominated on the outside. He doesn't have to win the outside, but he just has to make sure, and he's not going to win the outside, but he has to make sure that Monroe doesn't dominate him on the outside, where the mental part comes into play, where he gets discouraged, he gets frustrated, he gets desperate, and then he starts reaching it instead of working it. And you know what? Adams has done a good job of not being dominated on the outside.
Back to the center of the ring. You have him corralled for a moment. Monroe doubles up that jab again and get back to business.
One of the greatest assets for Adams.
Straight left hand, Teddy.
Yeah, one of the...
And again, Monroe lands with a clean left. The southpaw scoring.
Yeah, Monroe is showing his own pride, his own professionalism, and his own maturity from this tournament. You know, he's not going into that defensive shell that he did before this tournament. He's opening up a little bit on the outside, regaining control this round, and getting Adams his respect the way he needs to have it, so Adams doesn't bulldoze here.
That was a good-looking round between these two.
Willie, you gotta cut him off. You're the one that gotta do this. Okay? You follow him, Brandon. Okay. Hold on, you follow me. Cut him off. When he's ready to step in, and throw right hand and left hook in. Okay? I told him, do him straight. Okay. Kick your legs out.
Nigel Collins has been driving and moderating the conversation on Twitter. What's being said about Adams and Monroe?
You kidding? Okay.
I'm excited because it seems like it's just started yesterday, and now we've reached the final. Glad it didn't take 2 years to complete.
Nigel, that's a good point here. It's nice to see the frequency of the fighters as we've watched them go through this tournament. Brandon Adams dismissed Daniel Edward, a TKO to start off, and had a split decision against another southpaw in Ray Gatica. So round 5, 10-round finals here among the middleweights. CompuBox total punches, 47 to 47 landed. Monroe's thrown a little more. That's the work rate with the jab that has been productive for him as Adams tries to corral him in that corner. Goes to the body while pushing off with that forearm and getting some work on the inside. Had a left uppercut that got in. Monroe came back with a right uppercut of his own, and he's willing to trade for a moment against Adams. Sharp left hand on the inside
hands
from
free,
Monroe.
guys. Get your hands free.
You know, I've been talking about how Adams has to get close. And then, of course, the other part of the equation is got to make the most of it. You know, he's got to be a better man when he gets close. But Monroe has been showing that, you know what, he can do a little something on the inside, too.
That was an impressive offensive surge from Monroe. Adams came back and landed a left hook.
As important it is for Adams to stabilize what he's not strong at on the outside. Stabilize that. You know, don't get dominated there. Use your jab a little bit. Get out of range when you have to get out of range so Monroe doesn't control you. It's just as important for Monroe to show where he's not strong. Every once in a while, don't get carried away with it. Don't get intoxicated with it. But every once in a while, earn the respect of Adams on the inside. Let Adams know, I can fight with you on the inside too a little bit, just to keep Adams from getting too confident, from trying to run you over. And that's what Monroe's done. You know, he wants to live on the outside. I mean, look at him. I mean, he knows that's where his bread is buttered. That's where his living's going to be, where he's going to make it in this business. But he also understands that every once in a while, he's got to kick that tiger in the mouth. Just make sure that he doesn't kick him with 2 feet, because he might be walking out with a couple less toes.
Adams came in looking for that right hand that time, and he went to the body, but that was blocked. Back to the jab goes Monroe. Final half minute of round 5. Opening minute of this round. The pace really quickened.
Joe, if you put out report cards, I guess you'd have to say so far, Monroe has done a better job doing what he needs to do, controlling the outside, holding his own in spots on the inside, than Adams has done. Adams has not done a good enough job on the outside the last couple rounds. Time!
New game.
This replay shows you what I was talking about and all you need to know. Monroe can hold his own a little bit on the inside with that uppercut. Again, you see him use that uppercut, the right uppercut there to the southpaw. Keeps Adams a little bit in his place. Shows Adams that you're not going to dominate when you get on the inside. I have an answer on the inside. I have a little voice in there too. But what it also showed me, Joe, was, and I think that the public can look at that, is the mentality still is there of Monroe. Even though he landed a beautiful uppercut, if it was an inside fighter, if he had that temperament of an aggressive fighter, and that's not his thing, I know that, but he would have put something on top of that. He was satisfied with 1, because that's his temperament, that's his style.
Right, no punch, I got it.
Mark Nelson, the referee, separating them. He's had a quiet evening, which is a good thing as we're in round 6. Teddy's got it 4 rounds to 1, 49-46 for Willie Monroe Jr. And Facebook sees it the same exact way. I think it's been a pretty easy fight to score. Of course, you never know what's sitting around this ringside, as we found out in Montreal last week. But with Don Trella, Tom Schreck, and Win Kintz, we have some veteran ringside judges with us, and hopefully they fall in line.
They better fall in line. They better do a better job.
Oh, he got hit by a right hand that sent him back. So here comes the power of Adams, and we'll see what he does with it here.
And it's with a right hand. And right hands are southpaw killers. Right hands are what orthodox fighters look to use against the lefty. And if Adams is going to get back in this fight, well, it's going to be on the back of a right hand. And now
Monroe went back.
That right hand.
Monroe went back so awkwardly after that exchange.
You know, I talked about in and out for Monroe. He's doing a little bit less of the out this round. You know, he needs those legs, Monroe. That's a big part of his game. For defense and offense. They set up his offense in the good right hook on the inside.
Well, that looks like it was clean, Teddy.
Keep him up. Here we go. Ready? Keep him up.
Complaining about it, but not doing what you see some fighters do.
Took that right hook, put it down low, and then brought it upstairs.
Yeah, Adams not doing what some fighters do. Try to milk that. Behaving like a fighter, saying, hey, I got a cup on. I can handle it. Let me get back to work. And let me try to get back to the rhythm I had a minute ago.
Now Monroe firing off, putting that 2-punch combination in there. You know, he was caught off balance for a moment. I don't think he was affected at all by that right hand earlier. Maybe just off balance the way he went back there into the corner.
Well, Adams is looking for the right hand. Again, he understands with his southpaw. That might be his ticket home. But he's forgetting about that jab.
Right. Time.
All right, let's take a little evidence here. Look at the evidence. The right hand gets blocked that Adams throws here. But watch here. Very interesting. Monroe, well, we didn't stay with it, but he went off bounds a little bit. Here again, watch the right hand. But look at the feet. The feet were tangled up. That happens with a southpaw and an orthodox fight every once in a while. The feet get confused. They get mixed up. They get tangled. The right hand was blocked, but the legs, well, you just wonder whether or not the judges saw what we saw and saw that it was the legs that really was the problem, not the punch up top.
That's a great point, Teddy, because to watch his body language, the way his body went back was the natural reaction of when you get tagged. but the referees don't have the replay here. So what they see is a right hand thrown and then him going back, springing back into that corner as if he was greatly affected by it. Round number 7 of this Boxino Finals.
So when you have an orthodox fight, and just take a look now, we have a good shot of it now, so just stay with me on this with the fans at home. Look at the lead right foot of the southpaw and the lead left. Then again, you see a moment ago, Adams stepped on that lead right foot of Monroe. You have them right next to each other. Now, don't for a second think that it might not be by accident.
Oh, no.
Adams is behind in this fight.
Yeah, he wants to pin that foot in like it's a nail going into the canvas.
What is he having a problem with? The legs of Monroe, the mobility of Monroe. So what better way to even the playing field a little bit if you can take those legs away by stepping on them? And I think in spots there, Adams is looking. He's a kid with good instincts in there, especially for a kid with only 6 amateurs. I think in spots, he's looking to accidentally, purposely step on that. There he did it again. To step on that foot with his left foot, the lead left foot, step on that right foot of Monroe. And then, what do you do then? Well, then you might have a Chuck Whitman, Muhammad Ali moment where Whitman stepped on a great Ali's foot, threw a punch, never landed, but he went down, and he got credit for a knockdown.
This is where he needs to take advantage, but then separation again, as Monroe has been balanced and strategic throughout the night.
See, if you can time that right, I mean, it's about all kinds of strategy in there, but most important, it's about keeping your mind clear. So you can think, you can take advantage of things in front of you. If Adams can just time that foot, and I think he's thinking in this spot, step on that foot and slow down Monroe a little bit. Don't allow Monroe to step back. Well, then he can land a punch before Monroe gets too far away. Right now, what Adams has to do is more work when he gets inside, Joe. He gets inside where he knows that he has to win. He has to be inside to have a chance. He's got to do more. He's got to do a lot more than he's doing right now. Which is nothing. He's actually allowing the slip guy, the guile guy, you know, the stylistic guy, to outfight him in the trenches right now.
Monroe outworking him coming out of the corner.
Time!
The fearless leader of the Fight Freaks says, we've got a good one here in Boxino between Adams and Monroe, so put on ESPN too. Well, we're glad you're already here, but you can join in the conversation on Twitter at ESPN FNF. Nigel Collins, our social media moderator, is driving the conversation there. Of course, Dan Rayfield giving you all the information and tweeting along throughout the night. Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas here. Round 8. And Teddy, I feel like there are more rounds that are clearly won by Willie Monroe so far than would be 50-50 and a chance for Adams.
Well, I think what it's fair to say is that Monroe has fought his fight more consistently. The fight that he needs to fight to win, not just tonight, but tomorrow and other tomorrows. He's fought his fight. He understands his ID, his identity, what he is. He's a boxer. But he's also understood that in spots when he gets them on the inside, well, he gets the respect of Adams. You know, he just puts it in Adams' mind and in his body that you're not just going to walk through me. You're not just going to manhandle me and have me give it to you. I can hold my own in spots. See, in the air, even though Monroe's done a good job holding his own, picking his spots, keeping defense with offense, it's up to Adams really to shine here. See, for me, Adams needs to go around those gloves. Gloves up good. You know, those earmuffs on real good with Monroe. Go around him with a looping shot and then split the guard with the uppercut. And bang the body outside those elbows. Good eyes by Monroe. What do I mean by that? Look how he keeps his eyes, the concentration. You know, he gets in good defensive posture. He sees everything coming. He knows where he's got to be from a defensive standpoint. And then he keeps his punches nice and short, where he doesn't leave any room for Adams to capitalize.
There's Adams going to the body with that right hand. Work on the inside continues. Monroe tried to place that short right uppercut.
I tell you, this is where Monroe is doing better than you think on the inside. One of the reasons, technique. You know, he's a boxer, so his technique has to be good. I mean, that's the way he moves up the boxing ladder. So he keeps his punches nice and short and concise. Doesn't make any mistakes. Doesn't give up defense for offense. And the banger, the physical guy Adams, a little tiny fatter with his punches. And you know what? Even though it's supposed to be Adams' territory, Monroe really getting the clean shots in because of that technique.
Little separation here, final 10 seconds of round 8.
Today,
Corona Extra has the extra look on that infighting, Teddy.
Yeah, I was talking about when the guy has the earmuffs on, like Monroe, go around the ears. Exactly what Adams did there. And don't finish there. I was talking about the uppercut, split the guard. Well, he did both that. The only problem, he needs to do a lot more of that.
He has 6 minutes to figure it all out here. 14-0, unbeaten, young, emerging fighter throughout this Boxino tournament. But Willie Monroe controlled things with his style throughout much of the night. 2 rounds to go here in the middleweight final of the Boxino tournament.
And look, no doubt Monroe belonged to favorite going in here. I knew that. Vegas knew that. Everybody knew that because of his style, because of his maturity. 3 years older, a few more fights, 4 more fights. And most importantly, he had 140 amateur fights. Adams only 6, so it figured that his style and his ability to be consistent with his style was going to be difficult for Adams to unlock. I got it.
That 8th round was well fought. CompuBox proves it with these numbers as Adams landed 28 punches. Monroe tallied 24. Both high marks for punches landed, according to CompuBox so far tonight.
Well, one thing Adams had going for him, he hasn't shown us tremendously, but coming in here, if you're going to fight a southpaw, what do you want to do? If you're going to fight a southpaw in the finals, what would you like to do in the semifinals? Fight a
southpaw, have the experience.
Tune up. He did. He tuned up with a southpaw in the semis, but this is a different southpaw.
And it was the first time he ever faced a southpaw in his career, so he gets that experience and then gets this.
But again, if I had to put my finger on one thing that was missing from Adams, the most, the jab. And there, as I say it on cue, you see Monroe controlling the outside with his jab and picking spots then for the left hand. If there's a jab coming at Monroe, it doesn't have to be a greatly effective jab. It doesn't have to be as good as Monroe's. But if it's coming at Monroe, it makes it much harder for Monroe to do what he's doing right now. Enjoy the outside. Watch those feet. If anything's going to happen these last couple rounds, maybe Adams needs to pull something out of the hat a little bit, step on that right foot of Monroe. I'm not talking about big cheating.
Other degrees. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But, you know, just a tiny bit of, giving yourself an edge, taking advantage of the situation, okay? And maybe landing a punch because of it. Because he needs to find a way to land a punch in these last round in a few seconds now.
Look at the confidence of Monroe here.
And again, no jab from Adams. Hurt him all night long.
Let's listen in to the final moments of instruction before the 10th round for each man.
How you feeling, man? Feel good. Hey, you gotta get busy, baby. You gotta get busy. You gotta get busy in this wrestling workout, right?
Round 10, gentlemen. Round 10.
For your baby, for your family, okay? KOs, baby. This is what you do.
We'll back him up a little bit. You hear me? Nice, relax. Set straight up the body. Pretty. First one. Oh, beautiful. Jab high, boom. Nice and smooth. Center the ring. Try to back him up a little bit.
Good job, Willie. Last round, touch gloves.
You win the fight.
Listen to me.
Round, you win the fight.
Okay, listen to me.
Big round.
Center.
Big round. You gotta get this guy out. You gotta go for broke. You gotta make this guy out. Look, he's taking you from the bank. He's robbing you.
Yeah.
Got this guy out.
You hear me?
Brandon Adams was just told that you've got to go for broke. Willie Monroe was told, if you go out and simply win this round,
touch him up, guys.
you
Here
will
we go.
win this fight. I think both corners see it the same way we do, as it is the 10th and final round here of the Boxino middleweight final, as we will get you up to speed with both Teddy's scorecard and you, the viewer at home, scoring along on the Friday Night Fight Facebook page.
I take it a little further than what most call it, you know. They say all you have to do is win this round. I would say all you have to do is not get damaged this round, not get destroyed this round. You're taking that tournament.
88-83 says Teddy heading into this 10th round. Facebook has it 7 rounds to 2 as well.
Joe, I started to say a few rounds ago, then the action changed a little bit. You know, about these judges better have it right. There's a new executive director now, the New York State Athletic Commission, David Berlin. He's in charge now. He's going to make sure that he holds judges accountable for their action, for their work, because it damages, well, not only the sport, but more importantly, it damages these fighters' career. I think he's the right guy for the job.
Well, he cares
and I think
about the sport greatly.
It's about time we got someone in there that's going to do something about it. Not talk about it, do something about it.
He's professionally equipped for the job, but he truly cares about the sport. Longtime fan and observer, as well as somebody with education, business acumen to handle the duties.
Exactly. Something that will make this sport overall, especially in New York, better.
Don't punch. Don't punch. I got it.
And right now, what would make things better for Adams is if he uses jab, as he did there, but he fell in with it. Use his jab to get close to do what he's dying to do. Land that right hand.
Almost a careless moment there, but the confidence of Monroe really bubbling up here with a minute to go as he tries to bring home this Boxino tournament title.
The best shot right now. With 45 seconds left to go. He needs a bolt of lightning from the sky, does Adams. And his best shot to get that is to step in and catch Monroe stepping out, maybe, with his hands down. Anticipate where he's going to go. In other words, maybe give him a little more room on one side, and then anticipate he's going to go to that other side, and then step there. And have a punch ready for him.
Don't punch. I got it.
He came into tonight 14-0. Willie Monroe trying to coast in here in his upstate New York backyard.
10 seconds. Here we go.
And Monroe fought the fight he needed to fight, and he fought it well, and he fought it all night.
Just a place. Relax.
Willie Monroe knew exactly what he wanted to do tonight. Simply put that forth right from the start. Doubled up that jab early, stayed with it. Adams had some moments at the ends of rounds. As we take you back and recap this middleweight Boxino finals, brought to you by 1800 Tequila.
Monroe, right from the beginning, showed that his left hand, the dominant hand from the southpaw, is going to find spots. And his legs...
Watch your heads, guys. Watch your heads.
Except when he was on the ropes. We're going to make sure that he was able to keep Adams off balance. But on the ropes, on the inside, where Adams was supposed to dominate, well, Monroe showed with his good technique, with his short punches, with his defensive responsibility, well, he can make some noise inside, too, and hold his own.
Willie Monroe Jr., 98-92, says Teddy. Just that third round early on in the fight for Adams. And Facebook saw it 8 rounds to 2. Willie Monroe Jr. His great uncle is indeed Willie the Worm Monroe, who handed Marvin Hagler the second loss of his eventual Hall of Fame career. The total punches tallied up by CompuBox has Monroe on top in terms of punches landed and thrown as well. So for the decision of Boxino's middleweight finale. We send it up to the ring to Sweet Baby Ray Flores.
Boxing fans, after 10 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. Here are the score totals. Judges Don Trella, Tom Schreck, and Winkins score the contest identical. 99-91 for your winner by unanimous decision. And now the Boxino NABA and NABO middleweight champion, Willie El Mongoose Monroe Jr.
So he caps off what was a road arriving here to this middleweight finals. As he returned to upstate New York in the semis to Verona, and here in the finals in Verona. Now we'll celebrate with family and friends, and one of those friends is indeed Brandon Adams. They consider each other friends. Monroe said, you know, for about an hour he won't be. It's all business, but great sportsmanship in the end as Adams suffers the first loss of his pro career. Let's go up to the ring to Bernie.
It's not every day that you get two guys who became friends, fight, then hug, and not only that, but Willie Monroe Jr. hands his son over to Brandon Adams. What does this win mean to you?
It means everything, man. Like, I mean, God is great. You know, I like to shout out my city, 585, Rochester, New York. And I like to shout out Polk County down in Florida because that's where my training camps was. And shout out to Protein Shop for keeping me nice in D3. But I just want to let everybody know that God is real. You know, I mean, 2011, when I suffered my first split decision loss, you couldn't have told me that in 2014 I'd be here. But I walk by faith, not by sight. And God blessed me to get here. And I'm thankful to be able to fight somebody like Brandon Adams. Brandon Adams was the least experienced. And you guys got to realize, me and Brandon was the two least favorite to win the tournament. And look who's in the finals. God doesn't play. God does not play. Keep your hands in God's hands and walk right. Walk by faith, not by sight, and things will go right. And I'm hoping that I can work with Brandon Adams because I'm moving back down to 154, then he can stay at 160 and take over everything.
Talk to me about why you were able to be so effective. You talked about your boxing IQ and working the distance, and you did that perfectly.
Well, I knew Brandon was a strong fighter. I mean, like, look how many knockouts he has. Like I said, he fought the most experienced guy and knocked him out in the quarterfinals. So somebody like that, you have to be caged. You have to give them things they haven't seen. Because if you just try to fight somebody like Brandon, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose. He's a powerhouse. He hits too hard. He shook me up a couple times with some left hooks and right hands over the top. And that's when I said, look, I got to keep my distance. I can't be in here with this kid trying to play around and throw big shots because he's a power puncher. And I see why he has as many knockouts.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on your win. You're going to need to get used to having a baby in your arms as your son is on the way, expected June 8th. Talk to me about what this experience has been like for you, despite losing in the finals to your opponent, Willie Monroe Jr.
It was grand, man. I mean, you know, I got the opportunity to fight on TV. You know what I mean? Thanks, Lil Monroe. But I got the opportunity to fight on TV, man. I still hope I did my city proud. LA, California, everybody. I still love y'all, man. And give your boy a shout out, man. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna push harder. You know what I mean? This was a learning experience. You know what I mean? Like he said, inexperience. But you know what? I'm not gonna use that as an excuse, man. I'm gonna keep pushing, keep trying, and keep working harder.
Thank you very much. And it was a lot easier to wrestle away the microphone from the little man than it was Burmeister Vern a few weeks ago inside the ring. Back to you.
Thank you, Bernie. Willie Monroe making reference to his 2011 loss to Darnell Boone, who was just 17-17-3. That's the lone loss of his career. Now he's got this title. Who will have the lightweight Boxino title? Everybody expecting a good action-packed fight between Carcamo and Petrov when we return to Boxino.